Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Ballava Girivanadhari Gopijana Ballava Girivanadhari Gopijana Ballava Girivanadhari Yashoyanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoyanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Ballava Girivanadhari Gopijana Ballava Girivanadhari Yashoyanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoyanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakacharya Astu Tarasajashi Srimad ISKCON Founder Acharya's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vindiki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Gita Govardhan Ki, Rajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki, Shri Ram Mayapur Ki, Ganga Maya Ki, Yamuna Maya Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Tulsi Maharani Ki, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Sri Jagannath Swami Baladev Subhadra Ji Ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasa Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Preshu Abadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 21 and 22. So I'll read 21 and then we'll do 22 responsively. sṛṣṭvāgre mahad-ādīni sa-vikārāṇi anukramāt tebhyo virājam uddhṛtya tamanu prāviśad vibhuḥ. After creating the total material energy, the mahat-tattva, and thereby manifesting the gigantic universal form with senses and sense organs, the Supreme Lord entered within it. Purport. Fully satisfied by the answers of the sage Maitreya, Vidura wanted to understand the remaining portions of the creative function of the Lord, and he took the clue from the previous topics. Text 22. Yamahuradyam purusham sahasranguru bahukam yatra vishva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate. Yamahuradyam purusham sahasranguru bahukam yatra vishva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate. Yamahuradyam purusham sahasranguru bahukam yatra vishva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate. Yamahuradyam purusham sahasraṅ urubahukam yatra visva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate yamahurādyam puruṣam sahasraṅ urubahukam yatra visva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate yamahurādyam puruṣam sahasraṅ urubahukam yatra visva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate yamahurādyam puruṣam sahasraṅ urubahukam yatra visva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate yamahurādyam puruṣam sahasraṅ urubahukam yatra visva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate yamahurādyam puruṣam sahasraṅ urubahukam yatra visva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate. Ladies, yata uddhṛtyam puruṣam sahasraṅ urubahukam visva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate yamahurādyam puruṣam sahasraṅ urubahukam yatra visva ime loka sa-vikārāṇ asate yam hu ahuhu is called adyam original puruṣam incarnation for cosmic manifestation sahasra thousand angri legs uru thighs bahukam hands yatra wherein vibhuḥ the universe ime all these loka planets sa-vikārāṇ with respective developments te all of them asate living. The Purusha incarnation lying on the causal ocean is called the original Purusha in the material creations, and in his virat form, in whom all the planets and their inhabitants live, he has many thousands of legs and hands. Please repeat. The Purusha incarnation lying on the causal ocean is called the original Purusha in the material creations. And in his virat form, in whom all the planets and in their inhabitants live, he has many thousands of legs and hands. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The first Purusha is Karanadaksha Vishnu. The second Purusha is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And the third Purusha is Shirodaksha Vishnu, in whom is contemplated the Virat Purusha, the gigantic form in which all the planets with their different developments and inhabitants are floating. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangorangayate girim yat kripa tanaham bande Shri Gurun Dinatarinem. So here Vidura and Maitreya is having a interface. Maitreya, of course, great sage, is giving explanations to Vidura, although, of course, Vidura is an incarnation of Lord Yamaraj. He has come cursed by one Muni to take birth as the son of a Sudrani, but he is the most pious of all the Kauravas. So here the discussion is about causality. Sarva karana karanam, causality. So of course Lord Brahma, he appeared from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, first created being, Atmabhu. He has one parent. And Garbhodaksha Vishnu's lotus navel gives rise to a golden stem. And this stem grows up and a lotus flower manifests on which Lord Brahma appears. Of course, the Purusha avatar, Shirodaksha Vishnu, appears in the heart of all living beings. Yantradudani mayaya Ishvara Parama Sarvabhutanam Hrideshu Arjuna Tishtati. That the Lord tells Arjuna that I am situated in everyone's heart, seated in their heart, as if seated on a machine made of the material energy. So here, Karanadaksha Vishnu is being described. We know that he's an expansion of the quadruple incarnations, plenary portions of the primary Chaturvyuha, who expand from Lord Balaram, who is an expansion of Lord Krishna. So we have Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, and Sankarshan. From these four expansions of the Lord, their plenary expansions, we have different avatars. Advaitam Acharya Manadim Anantarupam Adyam Purusham Purunam Purusham Advaitam Achintam Advaitam Achintam. That the Lord is Advaitam, And he is anadim, without any beginning. Anantarupam, he has many, many different forms. Trillions and trillions of forms are coming from the Lord through these different plenary portions. Adyam Purusham. He is Adyam, he is the original person, Krishna. And he empowers his various incarnations and plenary portions to generate various universes. So Karanadakshay Vishnu, in one breath, it is one lifetime of Lord Brahma, which Srila Prabhupada explains is 311 trillion solar years, or years here in the Bhumandala area, where the sun extends its rays. These descriptions are there in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There are also descriptions of the various aspects of our tiny little universe when Maharaj Priyavrata took his chariot and divided the Bhumandala into 7 islands with 7 various oceans. Ocean of salt water, ocean of sweet water, ocean of liquor, ocean of ghee, ocean of dahi, ocean of milk. So all these various wonderful things, yad yad vibhutimat sṛṣṭvam srimad urjitam evava tattariva vagachatam mamotejam sasambhavam. All these various wonderful, glorious aspects of Supreme Lord Krishna, he says, is just a spark of my splendor, just a tiny little spark of his splendor. So the atheistic persons who are, they are holding the entire world that we live in, holding them hostage with their atheistic views, they are purely speculating. They're Mayapur. They say that they have knowledge, they are scientists. Scientia comes from the Latin word or Greek word scientia. Science comes from that word, which means to know. But nescience, nescience, avidya, is what they have. They claim that there's no God. Asatyam apratishtam te jagadahur anishram. That this whole universe with all its various planets, we know the planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Pluto, Brihaspati, all these various planets, and then the upper planets, there is Brahmaloka, there is Jnanaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka. These are the highest planets within our universe. They say that this all came from a big explosion 15 billion years ago. 1.5 times 10 to the power 10. There was somehow or other, all this mahat-tattva, all this matter was just floating around. And by some forces of gravity, they pulled down into a singularity. Gravitational forces pulled the entire matter into what is called a singularity, a point of infinity, zero temperature, infinite temperature, infinite density, zero or infinite density. Well, what is infinity? They have no idea. So this is pure speculation based on their study of the galaxies with their telescopes. They have a James Webb telescope, and they found that light is expanding outwards. So then they expand backwards and say, oh, there must have been a huge explosion. And from chaos, we got so much advanced order in our universe. The universe, they've discovered, is highly fine-tuned, so that various elements, play a very important part, like the production of carbon requires a huge amounts of heat, and they speculate that these stars suck into themselves, again, gravitational force, and at a certain point of heat, too much heat will destroy the star, and not enough heat will not produce what is called carbon, one of the elements in the periodical table. And carbon is required to hold all the information we find within the living beings, within the reality that we have. We now know that the universe is full of information. The DNA in the cell is nothing but information. When you take your credit card, there's a little silicon chip on it. When you pass it through a machine, suddenly the place where you're purchasing something, they get to know all about you. Your age, do you have enough credit, where you live, what country you're from, everything is there. So this is information that's embedded in all the various particles within our universe. So this is pure speculation. Chintama parimeyam cha pralayantam upashridaha. Kama paboga parama patanti narake sucha. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that they're completely embedded in this materialistic consciousness. And they think that simply to enjoy their senses until the end of life is the prime necessity of human civilization. Therefore, Krishna says there's no end to their anxiety. Aneka chitta vibranta moha jala samavritaha. They're like fish caught in the networks of illusion. What is this illusion? It is one of the Shaktis of Lord Krishna, Maya Shakti. He has so many various Shaktis. He has his Guna Shaktis. Lord Brahma is empowered to generate all the various species of life. And Lord Shiva, he is empowered by Lord Krishna to create the time of devastation. Lord Shiva dances and the entire universe heats up to 12 times the heat of the sun. And all the universe, all the planets within the universe are burnt into ashes. So we accept, Prabhupada said, our proof is Guru Parampara. We don't accept the speculation of the foolish atheists. One famous astrophysicist, Fred Hoyle, he did some calculations and he said, I don't think the Big Bang Theory is actually very accurate. He said that there's someone up there that's fine-tuning our universe. There are different forces that control our planets. Strong nuclear, weak nuclear, gravitational force, force of attraction between objects. There's these four forces, and they're very fine-tuned so that there can be life on this planet, so that all the planets within the universe, they never collide with each other. So the great sages, they describe how the sun planet is moving throughout the universe at various speeds, sometimes in the northern hemisphere, sometimes in the southern hemisphere. The speed of the planet sun is 18,000 yojanas per second, per moment. Inconceivable. Achintya guna swarupam govinda maripurusham tamaham bhajami. Lord Krishna is inconceivable. And so these wonderful phenomena that we are hearing about from the Srimad Bhagavatam, that Karana Vishnu is breathing out innumerable universes are coming from the pores of his body. And he's lying in the causal ocean, which is nothing but his perspiration. And although he's so huge, he's so vast, they have no idea how big Karana Vishnu is. He's just a tiny speck in the Lord's creation. He's an expansion of an expansion of an expansion of Lord Balaram, of Krishna. And yet, we find ourselves in a universe which is 4 billion miles in diameter. And half of our universe, vertical universe, half of it is filled with Lord Garbhodakshay Vishnu's perspiration. It's full of his perspiration. And the Lord Garbhodakshay Vishnu is lying on Lord Sheshanaga, the bed of Sheshanag. Another expansion of Shankarshan. And he's, by his power, he's holding all the planets in their orbits. That's how we understand this universe. And from Garbhodakshay Vishnu, we learn here that Kshirodakshay Vishnu manifests himself, and he's lying on an island, Svetadweep, in the ocean of milk. And each ocean, coming from, beginning with Jambudweep, which is the center of our universe, there's a huge mountain which is wide at the top and small at the bottom. It's 16,000 yojanas that goes down into the earth, into the Bhumandala. And it's 80,000 or so yojanas going upwards. And on the top of this mountain there are the cities of Vayu, Indra, Agni, and Varuna. And this Mount Meru is being used as a pivot for the axle of the chariot of the sun god. And the sun god is in his chariot, moving rapidly throughout our universe, radiating so much energy, light, and heat. How can they understand these things? This is given by the great sages. Asito devalo vyaso, deva rishi naradas tata. Arjuna is saying, Param Brahm, Param Dham, Pavicham, Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adi Deva Majam Vibhum. So, the sun god is being glorified by 70,000 rishis. There are horses, celestial horses, pulling the chariot of the sun god. The wheel of the chariot is running on the track of the Manasatara mountain range, which is 2 billion miles from the center of the Mount Meru. These things are described in the 5th canto, also in the Vishnu Puranas. And we're this tiny little speck called Bharatvarsha. And on Bharatvarsha they're described that there are various continents. Prabhupada describes them during the reign of Maharaj Prithu. He reigned over the 7 continents: Eurasia, North America, South America, Africa. Prabhupada mentions Oceania. Was that Australasia? I don't know. So these wonderful things, the great Shaktivish avatars, they're empowered to give us this knowledge. The various avatars, the various acharyas who empowered to give us this transcendental, this knowledge which we can come to grips with. We certainly don't accept, although nowadays the scientists, the atheistic scientists are of a demoniac nature, and they have the monopoly over what is called the knowledge of the world and so on. People want to know what is the origin of life, what is the origin of... There's the origin of life foundation in the West, in America and Europe and so on. And they say that life comes from matter. And Prabhupada says, no, life comes from life. And he has asked us to repudiate these atheists who are dominating the world. So people just unknowingly naively accept these so-called scientists, these so-called atheists. Although they're simply, Prabhupada said in the 10th canto, they're very expert at killing. They're inventing so many machines for killing, but they can't make one little, tiny little amoeba, one little E. coli, one little, one little germ. Although they're trying very hard, even when they drill down into the cell is like a massive factory. It's full of various nano machines, and at all times the information center, the DNA, is producing all kinds of nanomachines called protein macromolecules or enzymes. This is going on constantly within every cell in your body. 300 trillion cells are found in your body. So, moga shamoga karmana moga jnana vichesti saha rakshashim asurim chaiva prakritim. That the mohinim shritaha, that the demoniac persons are bewildered by the powerful agent of Lord Krishna. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya uddhṛtya mame viye prapadyante mayamitam tarantite. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya uddhṛtya. This material energy is very, very powerful. We shouldn't play with Maya. Tribir gunamaya bhavir evi sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabijanati mame bhya paramavyayam. Krishna says, you're bewildered. They're all bewildered by these three modes of material nature. Therefore, they cannot go past the curtain of the illusory energy of the Lord and see the Supreme Lord. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpavriksha lakshaviteshu surabir abhipalyantam lakshmi sahasrasatam sambrahma sevyamanam govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. That far beyond this tiny little planet, this tiny little universe, which comes out of a tiny little hair pore, yasaika nishvishita akilatma buddha. Lord Brahma says that from Mahavishnu, who's lying in the causal ocean, these tiny little golden eggs are coming out of the pores of his body, the hair pores of his body. Yasaika nishvishita akilatma kala. They're coming from the pores of his body. Far beyond this, we find the wonderful spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, where Lord Krishna's planet is full of Chintamani stones, where there are wish-fulfilling trees. The absolute energy is everywhere. The Suravi cows are fulfilling the desires of all the devotees, how to please Lord Krishna. Walking is dancing, and everywhere one can hear the Lord's transcendental flute. The Lord, He is, of course, Aishvarya. He is full of all six opulences, one of which is renunciation. So He assumes the ordinary form of a cowherd boy. And once at the end of the Dwapara Yuga, once in a day of Lord Brahma, 4,300,000,000 years, solar years, one day of Brahma. He comes at the end of one Dwapara Yuga and exhibits his wonderful pastimes in a place called Vrindavan, here on the Bharatvarsha planet. So it's a very, very auspicious, very important planet where the Lord has descended. And Bhutanam Ishvaropi San, although He is the Supreme Lord of all living beings, Sambhavami Atmamaya, He appears out of His compassion for Parichanaya Sadhunam, to protect the devotees who are always being harassed by the demons. This Hiranyakashipu is harassing the demons. He stopped all the performance of sacrifices. He burnt down the ashrams of the sages. He stopped cow protection. No more Aswamedha yagas. Send the demigods were in hiding. Like this, these demons, they create so much chaos within our world. As we see now here in Kali Yuga, manda sumanda matayo manda bhagyahi uddhṛtya. At the drop of a hat, there's so much conflict, so much death, so much bloodshed. They have no understanding of Vedic civilization. Anarya. Like Krishna says, Arjuna, you're speaking like an anarya, uncivilized man. No, civilization means a varnashram system, Daivi varnashram. That Chartur varnam mayashishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. The one engages according to his varna, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. It doesn't matter. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is teaching it doesn't matter, but there must be scientific organization of human society. We learned that Maharaj Prithu, he's an incarnation, a Shaktivisha incarnation of God. He was born from the churning of the thighs of Maharaj Vena, the grandson of death personified. But Maharaj Prithu was generated a Shaktivish avatar. And so he made sure, and there's descriptions in Srila Prabhupada's purports in this section of 4th canto Bhagavatam, how Maharaj Prithu was making sure that all sacrifices were performed. In fact, he performed 99, 100 horse sacrifices for the satisfaction of all the demigods and ultimately the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Ishtan bogan hivo deva tardatan apradeya bo yobungtus tena ivasaha yagya shishta shino shanto muchante sarvakil bishai munjate te tu gam papam. That all sacrifice is meant ultimately for the satisfaction of Lord Krishna or Vishnu. Yagnartat karmana niyacha lokoyam karma bandhanaha. So if people in this age of Kali, they're not following these things, they have no idea, they're simply manda sumanda matayo, simply poor in intelligence, ignorant, bereft of all knowledge, and doomed, Krishna says to Arjuna, to ignorance and bondage. Tanaham dushata kruran samsareshu naradamam shipamiyajashu mahashubam asurishu viyonishu. Krishna condemns all these so-called materially advanced persons, scientists, philosophers, political leaders. They're all condemned by Krishna to take birth in lower species of life after death. They don't accept that there is life after death. They don't know what is life itself. They have no idea. One Nobel Award winner, he was speaking to us in Mumbai in 1986 at the World Convention, this Convention of the Synthesis of Science and Religion. His name is George Wald. He was actually a very close friend of Albert Einstein. And he had a Nobel Award in vitamin A. So he came and he was very receptive to the Vedic conclusion and the Vedic cosmogony and so on. So he said, as an honest scientist, I don't know what life is. He actually admitted in front of, thousands of people and other Nobel Award winners. He said, we don't know what life is. Honestly, we have no idea. He said, I play chess with a computer over at Harvard University. And many times the computer beats me at the game of chess. He says, does the computer feel proud? He says, as an honest scientist, I can't address that question. What is consciousness? What is life? What is intentionality? What are emotions? But he says, as a human being, I can intuitively understand that computer have no life whatsoever. Another Nobel Award winner, he developed a computer program that acts as a psychoanalyst. The Elijah program. His name is from MIT. And he got a huge award for developing this psychology, this robot that speaks like a psychologist. So people come and talk to the robot. Computer program. But what they found is that this program is very limited. If you respond the same way 7 times, the loops go back to the first question. So they tried it on a young lady, and she said, "I wish my husband was like as nice as my father." And then the computer comes back with, "Are there any other male relatives that you have problems with?" The Elijah program. I think his name is Joseph Weizenbaum. I think that's his name. And then, if the girl says, "I don't know," 7 times, the computer approaches from different angles, and she keeps saying, "I don't know." It comes back to the original question. So it shows how limited these programs are that they're developing artificial intelligence. Some agent of intelligence has to create these machines. So when they look at the entire universe, as Krishna says, the universe is a cosmic machine. He shows Arjuna his Virat Rupa, his Virat Purusha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his Mahaprakash right here in Mayapur at the house of Srivas Thakur. He showed all the various gods and demons, all the various creatures within his universal form. So everything is working very, very, very orchestrated, like an orchestra. Everything is working in great, highly synthesized way. Everything. We have a teleological universe. That means there's a cause and an effect. There's a purpose. Theology means a philosophy of purpose. When you take your key, it's designed in a certain way to fit a hole in your car. When you turn it, there's an electric spark. And that electric spark sparks inside of a combustion chamber. And there's an explosion, which drives a piston, which pushes the drive shaft, which turns the axle, which turns the wheels, and you get to Calcutta. It's called teleology, purpose. When we look at the universe, we find, oh, oxygen is here. Everyone needs oxygen for the, all the various requirements in the body, for the organs to work. Everything, sunlight is required. The nutrients within the earth are being supplied through the process of food. Even various flavors are sitting within the earth. A banana has a different flavor from a cauliflower. It's all arranged because there's DNA within each cell, within each organism. There's different DNAs, design. This is the power of design. Someone wrote a code. DNA is nothing but a code. Who's the code maker? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Jagannath. They're the code. He's the code maker. Krishna. He's the code. He wrote the code. They have no idea who wrote the code, how it even came by chance. They worked out probabilities that you could get the code to produce a functional protein. They did a study at Cambridge University, a fellow called Douglas Axe, who believes in God, spent 14 years working out probabilities. We have 10 to the power 80 particles in the universe, according to the speculators. That means electrons, protons, and neutrons. And upward possibility of events in our universe since the Big Bang is 10 to the power 139. That's 1 with 139 zeros after. It's a big number, huge number. So they worked out probability. What are the odds that you could get a functional protein produced by random DNA came together randomly, then you got a cell, and then you got functional proteins produced. So they worked out probabilities in laboratories. One, the odds in favor or against is 1 chance in 10 to the power 74 tries, throws of the dice. So 1 with 74 zeros. But the age of the universe is only 10 billion years, 15 billion years since the Big Bang, 1.5 times 10 zeros. Now you have the probability of 74 zeros with a 1 in front of it. It's puny. The probability is so puny, they can't accept it. They admit, okay, it's just somehow by luck. So this is pure speculation of the demoniac class of men who are constantly indoctrinating all the young minds of the world. All the young students who go through the factory of the universities and come out, antam tamasa pravishanti yevidam upasate. In the Upanishad it says, Ishopanishad, that those who cultivate nescience, they're doomed. But worse still for those who teach nescience, they go to the darkest regions of ignorance, right? Patanti narakesuchu. It's even described in the 5th canto that there are 28 different hells. And under these 28, there's hundreds and thousands of different hellish planets. And it's described how the sinful living entity is visited by the Yamadutas, Kapila Dev, telling Devahudi. And they drag his subtle body with his soul. And in a few seconds, he lands in the place of Yamaraj, where all his sinful, he has a spreadsheet. Yamaraj has a spreadsheet. Oh, you ate the flesh of a cow 50,000 times or whatever. And for each hair on that cow, you have to be punished once in a place called Maharorava, where the most envious creatures, more envious than cobra, they'll come and bite you and inflict so much misery on you. This is going on as we speak. People are dying right now, and others are taking birth. And as they leave their body, they're seeing the Yamadutas. And it's described, some doctor said, the most people at the time of death, they pass stool and urine. They're so fearful of these creatures that come into their rooms, you know, and grab them with the ropes of Lord Yamaraj and drag them down this road to the hellish planets, surrounded by fires on each side. The dogs of hell are there barking at them, all described in the Bhagavatam, in the different Puranas. So this is going on as we speak. Someone is dying right now on our planet here. And the poor relatives, they're crying for their father. Prabhupada told Ambarish, Alfred Ford, where is Henry Ford now? Can you tell me, where is Henry Ford? Such a great, famous guy, personality, invented the T model car, you know, the invention of the horseless carriage. Where is he now? Well, thankfully, Ambarish is a devotee, so he gets a lot of benefit. Otherwise, no one knows at the time of that, no one, where's my father? Where's my mother? Where, you know? Karmana Daivaneshana Jehudanti Papate is Trio Pravishtamadarat Pumsareta Kanashraya. Depending on your karma and the hand of God, you take birth in an egg or in a seed or in some, you know, the flies lay eggs, you know, and then they become maggots. You might become a maggot, you know, and or a worm in stool. These things are going on. Lord Krishna is warning people. So our whole duty in life is to try and deliver these souls here in Kali Yuga, this simple process, Sankirtan Yagya, the process of chanting the holy names, chanting to Lord Jagannath during his Rath Yatra procession. This is a very, very easy and simple process. And to please the gardener, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the gardener of this Sankirtan movement. We have to please him by trying to give this mercy, this knowledge, this holy name to all the conditioned souls. We want to reclaim all the souls. After all, Krishna, he desires very strongly that all these souls leave this material world. Jara maran mokshaya mama shriche yatantiye te brahma tad vidu kritsnam adhyatma karma chakilam. How do you transcend? How do you step on the head of death like Dhruva Maharaj stepped on the head of death personified? You have to take shelter of the Lord and his holy names for your full lifetime. No stopping, no retirement program. Simply take shelter of the Lord through his holy name and give it to others. Kaschin me priya kritama, Krishna tells Arjuna, he is most dear to me, who distributes this beautiful Bhagavad Gita wisdom to all the fallen souls. So that is our duty to our great Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, is to take great risks, to take all kinds of risks to distribute this transcendental experience. It's not just knowledge, but it's Vigyan. It's the experience of Krishna. Lord Krishna is in his holy name, and when we properly follow in the footsteps of the great Acharyas, we taste the mercy of Lord Krishna. We get the experience of the chanting of the holy name, and we want to give it to others. We want to share it. We don't want to be Kripana. We don't want to be misers. We want to be Mahatmas. We want to be great souls and give it to others. That is all that the Acharyas are asking us to do. Become Krishna conscious and then give it to others. And we have so many literatures given by the devotees, the great devotees of the Lord, the 6 Goswamis, who were empowered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to establish this great Sankirtan movement and spread it throughout the world. So, thank you very much, Hare Krishna. And we may have time for one question.
Thank you very much. That was a very good class. Particularly interesting to me because I work in the BI.
You were in Bihar?
BI. I work in the Bhaktivedanta Institute.
Oh, okay.
So these kind of topics are...
BI, Bhaktivedanta Institute,
yeah,
right?
these are particularly interesting for me. You touched on the RNA structures, you touched on the inflation, the physical laws, you touched on Fred Hoyle.
Your accent, I have a hard time, so can you speak very slowly and...
Okay. So you touched on the RNA structures, you touched on the DNA structures.
Yes.
You also kind of shed some light over the physical laws, regressing back to the Big Bang. These are all quite interesting and you've done a very good job. Mine is not a question but more of a comment, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The work they've done, for example, Fred Hoyle and also Alan Garth, who brings up the critical density that you mentioned, they actually done a fantastic job. The only problem, the difference between us and them is that they are saying it's unguided, we are saying it's guided. That's the only difference. But if we can distinguish that difference, the job the scientists are actually doing is actually a fantastic job. Fred Hoyle, and again obviously complementing with Alan Gath, I think we have to give some credit to the job they've done. Like the inflation is an excellent job. The only difference I see is that they're saying that it's unguided design, but we are saying it's a guided design, which is only their dedication to a worldview that they have subscribed. It's only just a subscription they've done. In our case, we don't have any problem, and we should be very happy to call it a intentional design. It's a guided design. I think that's the only difference. But other than that, I think they've done a very, very good job. It's just a comment. We don't know.
Well, I don't know. If you ask Srila Prabhupada what he thinks of the scientists when he spoke with Swarup Damodar Maharaj on our morning walks in Los Angeles, Prabhupada said they're nothing but rascals and fools.
That's because they're calling it unguided.
I don't want to argue with you. You made your point. You can pass the mic to someone else. So I'm just expressing Srila Prabhupada was very strong. I remember one time Prabhupada was in the garden in Los Angeles. I was there in that time. And he met with the scientists from all the top universities in America. He said, if you came here to meet me, he said, if you meet someone with more knowledge than you have, he said, if you don't surrender, you're nothing but a rascal. He said, why don't you surrender? You have only material knowledge. It's limited. He said, it's very limited. Your knowledge is imprisoned by your assumptions, philosophical assumptions. He said, if you meet someone who knows more than you, outside of this empirical model, empiricism, why don't you surrender? He said, surrender to that person, because he knows if those so-called Brahmins, scientists, if they surrender, then all their students, all the texts that they write, because they write all these books, they will have to change the whole, the whole narrative. So Prabhupada was preaching very strongly with Swarup Damodar. I remember Swarup Damodar would come to Los Angeles. He was studying at Irvine University, UCLA Irvine, which is in California. And Prabhupada was just smashing every time. He's smashing them. Cheaters, rascals, fools. So even Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is condemning these scientists as atheists, rascals. Tanaham dushatakuran samsareshu naradamam. Shipamiya jashuma shubham asurishu eva yonishu. Namam duskritina mudha. Duskritina means a mischievous person, and mudha means a jackass. Krishna is calling them jackasses more than once in Bhagavad Gita. Avajanati mam mudha. Again, he calls them, the donkey doesn't have much brain, we know that. Prabhupada said their brains are full of stool. He said it. He said they're simply rascals because they're starting from an emotional point. They have a faith. Their faith is atheism. It's a religion because it's a leap of faith. One Nobel laureate in the symposium I attended, he's a Nobel Award nominee. He said, science is an act of faith. It's also an act of faith. One scientist, a very big atheist, his name is Richard Dawkins. He says, it's so uncanny that the information inside of the cell is almost, it's identical to the software that our IT engineers are writing. It's just like a computer program. He said it. And then he said, however, we must understand that that's just an illusion. What happens to these scientists? We have to have compassion on these scientists. We have to have mercy. But our mercy is to present a polemic, an argument, to expose them, to show them, because they are lying to the people. They're lying, completely telling lies. They come out every year with some idea, oh yeah, look, we produced a prototype of a cell. Lies. Not even close. What they do is they go and they extract some genes, some genomes from a plant or a fish, and then they inject it in their petri dishes, and then they have some, you know, some fake prototype of a cell, and they inject it. So they borrow from nature. We're saying before nature, abiogenesis. Show me how you're making life from straight chemicals. And all their experiments they do, all in their papers, if you know how to read these papers, they're all cheating. They all lie. They'll come up, they'll do some mixtures, and maybe they'll find some carbohydrates in there, in this beaker, but they're not able to pull it out because there's so much junk in these mixtures they make. So what they do is they phone up the laboratory, and they say, hell, I want to order this carbohydrate. And so in its pristine form, they get it sent to them, delivery service, just in time. And then they have to put it in a freezer because all these elements that they need, building blocks of life, many of them are very unstable. So they keep grabbing, they keep binding with stuff within our gaseous environment. So many gases we're breathing, including oxygen, of course, but helium, hydrogen, so many carbon, all kinds of stuff. So they have to isolate, freeze until they're ready to try. So this is going on, cheating. Prabhupada said, cheaters cheating the cheated. And basically, it's a religion. And they've infiltrated, with their science, they've infiltrated into the philosophy of the origin of life, and the origin of the universe, and the origin of all of us, human beings and various species. Why? Because dvishata, they're envious of Krishna. They're envious of God. That's the problem. Icha dvesha samudena. They're born into this world full of envy for. That's the original sin. I'm envy of God. He's the supreme enjoyer. He's the supreme everything. Everyone's serving Him. No one's serving me. Ahankara vimudadma karta. So at that point, somehow or other, we fell into this place of darkness. The original desire. We have desire. So Krishna gives us enough rope to hang ourselves, free will. We have to understand the Lord has given us, without love of God, there can be no free will. In order to have love of God, you need free will. Therefore, you can choose to serve Krishna in Bhakti Yoga, or you can serve Maya. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andakarya, and Krishna Maya Adhikar. Maya is there. However, no one is condemned forever. After billions and trillions of births and deaths, you will get the mercy. Krishna is so merciful that in some life of Brahma, some breath of Karnadaksha Vishnu, you will come to self-realization. But we must do it now. In Kali Yuga, we have 332,000 years. We have 327,000 years left. Lord Chaitanya has certainly just appeared. God Himself has come in His full potency, His full, with all His devotees. And for the next 10,000 years is the golden age within Kali Yuga. Let us take advantage of the golden age and develop our love for Krishna. We can only get our love for Krishna when we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And how to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda? Trinadapi sunechina, duroreva sahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadari. That I am at the bottom of the ladder. I am the most fallen. Na dhanam na janam. I don't want any kind of wealth. I don't want followers. I don't want position. I don't want fame. I don't want prestige. I don't want to enjoy beautiful woman, beautiful whatever. All I want is ahoituki, apratiyata, unalloyed, uninterrupted, pure devotional service. Please, Lord Nityananda, please bless me with this prema, which can only be given from the hands of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, let us glorify Lord Jagannath this week and pray to Radharani. Please bestow your mercy upon us. Please bestow your mercy on us. I am fool, I am rascal. Lord Chaitanya himself, I'm fool, I'm rascal in front of my spiritual master, Ishvara Puri. Although he's God, he takes this psychology of an ordinary human being, but we know he's God. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Except, please forgive me for any offense I may have committed.